Hey guys, listen to this. I have been doing a little studying and I wanted to talk to you guys about something. Now, think about this. What if history doesn't move in a straight line, but in cycles? What if every 8 to 100 years, society resets itself through crisis? And we're living in one of those moments right now. Welcome to the fourth turning.
In both American and Western history. According to their theory, historical events are associated with recurring generational personas or archetypes, and each generational persona unleashes a new era they call a turning that lasts about 20 years, and in each turning, a new social, political, and economic climate exists. I'm actually going to do a video about this in the future. So here's Strauss and Howe talking about the 13th generation back in 1991.
The most important thing to look for in defining a generation is how the members of that generation define themselves. The 13th generation in American history, dating back to Benjamin Franklin, these are the 13th to know the American nation and flag. They also are faced with a real hard luck life cycle reminiscent of what the old lost generation knew. The number 13 is a good reflection of that. It's also a slippery label, something that the kids themselves like because they're tired of being criticized by elders, being told that they're part of a bust, a baby bust group that is disappointing when compared with the boom.
One thing we talk about with the 13th generation is how attitudes toward children changed very dramatically in the early 1960s and through the 1970s. The 13th generation are the first babies people took pills not to have. And as the 1960s went on, we saw a new kind of movie come into national popularity, the Rosemary's Baby, the Exorcist type film, which depicted the child as devil, as bad, mean, and selfish. Many of the 13ers today in their late 20s remember that period, and their sense of identity, their sense of self, has in some ways been permanently shaped by that. Today, by contrast, since the early 1980s, we've had a whole new batch of cuddly baby movies. Today, with the emergence of yet a new generation, babies are to be protected. We see baby on board bumper stickers everywhere, and people think that children must be given a better national mission and must be given structure as children.
Okay.
And we call them the millennial generation.
The ones that were born in between 1982 and the year 2003.
Right.
Kids who are presently in third grade and younger.
It's when we saw a sudden change in people's attitudes toward divorce, toward family, towards structure and discipline in schools, a rethinking of many of the assumptions and the educational experiments that went wrong, that many people in retrospect believe went wrong during the 1970s.
Okay, so I've been diving into a fascinating and controversial theory called the fourth turning. It's a way of looking at history not only as random events, but as repeating seasons. And according to this theory, we are right in the middle of the storm. Now stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see how past cycles have shaped wars, revolutions, and cultural upheavals, and why the next decade could reshape everything that we know. Now, the fourth turning comes from historians William Strauss and Neil Howe. They've studied centuries of Anglo-American history. They noticed a pattern. About every 80 to 100 years, society goes through a full cycle, which they called a saculum. Each saculum has 4 turnings. It's kind of like seasons. You have the high, which institutions are strong, people trust authority, and society feels united. Second, you have the awakening. People start questioning the system, rebelling against conformity, and seeking spiritual renewal. The third, the unraveling. Institutions weaken, individualism rises, and trust in everything erodes. Then the last one is the crisis, which is the fourth turning, a decisive era of upheaval, wars, revolutions, or massive reforms for society to kind of rebuild itself. Each turning lasts about 20 to 25 years, and the fourth turning is always the most dramatic, the winter season of history. So what does this look like in real life? Let's rewind. The American Revolution, which was 1770s through 1780s, was a fourth turning. Colonists broke from Britain, fought a war, and reinvented the government, the United States. The Civil War era, 1860s, was another. The nation split apart, they fought brutally, and then redefined itself. Next, you have the Great Depression and World War II, which was the 1930s and 40s. Yet another fourth turning. You had economic collapse, global war, and then the birth of the modern American order. See the pattern? Roughly every 80 years, America faces a crisis that tears down the old system, and then it rebuilds to what it has next. Now, there's according to Strauss and Howe, the current fourth turning began in 2008 with the financial crisis. Since then, we've seen political polarization at historic levels. We've had institutional distrust from government to media to corporations. We've had social unrest, protest, cultural clashes, global instability, from pandemics to wars. These are all classic signs of the fourth turning. The theory suggests that the crisis era will last until the early 2030s, when society finally resolves all the tension and enters a new high. Now, here's the big question. What does this mean for us? If history repeats, the next decade could bring major conflict or reform, possible political, economic, or even through military wars. Generational leadership shifts. Millennials and Gen Z, they're going to be stepping into power. Then you have a new civic order. Institutions will be rebuilt, values redefined, and a fresh sense of unity. The fourth turning isn't just doom and gloom. It's about transformation. It's the storm before the calm. And what emerges on the other side depends on the choices that we make now. So, are we in the fourth turning? According to this theory, I would say yes. We're living through history's winter season. It's turbulent, it's uncertain, and sometimes even a little frightening. But it's also the moment when societies reinvent themselves, when new leaders arise, and when the future is forged. The real takeaway is history isn't just random. It moves in cycles. And if we understand those cycles, we can prepare for what's coming and maybe even shape it. The fourth turning is here. The question is, what kind of world will we build when the storm passes. Guys, thanks for watching. If you found this just a little bit interesting, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know in the comments what you think about the fourth turning. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.